Forget the old shoe. Nationals should be held on this absurdly steep wall that leads up to it if you're coming from the north. That's Nick's wild hot take for today. Obviously it's nonsense, but I do believe this tiny little farm road that if you're coming from north of Llangollen leads to the old shoe. I believe that this is one of the hardest climbs I've ever done historically. It's nothing compared to the Colid, because I used to ride it as a junior and it's 25% for quite a while, and it's not an event at all. It's just like, oh, we're going to the old shoe, we're doing it from this way, so we go up this road. As a junior, I used to consistently just grind to a halt up here, and I don't mean, oh, I had to get off and push my bike. I mean, I would try and cycle it, and I would go so slowly that I'd fall over. This embankment on the left, there used to be a divot in it, genuinely, from the number of times that I fell off my bike, and that's where I would choose to fall, because it was quite soft. Yeah, I'm doing the old shoe again. I know I've done it before, but I feel like watching a hill climb at full gas versus not at full gas is quite different, so I thought there was merit in repeating this one before Nationals. I know a lot of other YouTubers have done it as well, so, you know, feel free to ignore it if you so desire. I've got another video coming up, like an adventure style video of my ride with the Titans in the Peak District, but I had such a nice time and I got a lot of nice footage. I really want to do it justice. I don't just want to sort of bash something out, so I'm doing this in the meantime because these hill climb videos are way less effort for me, and I don't have loads of time available at the moment, so keep your eyes peeled for that one. But now I'm approaching the bottom of the old shoe, so I do hope you enjoy this. So I'm about to have a go at the most talked about climb in the UK at the moment, the old Horseshoe Pass. I have filmed it before, but I've got a new setup, and that was quite a weak effort. I wasn't in great shape at the time, so I want to do a full gas effort. I don't think it'll necessarily be a PR, but I'll give it everything I've got. You can hear exactly why I don't like the Horseshoe Pass proper, just over my shoulder. So bloody busy. So for anyone trying to build a mental map here, all I've done is do a U-turn from where I filmed that little intro and gone down the road for maybe a kilometre or two. Where I filmed that little intro was just a right turn off the new Horseshoe Pass, I should say, the main event. And if you're wondering where the Horseshoe Pass old starts, you don't need to, because you go down this road and there's a literal angle in the road. Absolutely unequivocal, that is where the hill starts. You go through those national speed limit signs and you're on the climb. And as you can see, it's straight into a steady gradient. This climb is 12.5% for, I think, 1.6 kilometres average, and it's actually quite steady all the way. This first treed section is kind of 13-14% very consistently, and I decided I was going to invest relatively high amounts of power, dare I say unsustainable amounts of power, early doors. Quite often I get in my own head when I'm pacing climbs by power, and I think, well, you know, if this is going to be an 8-minute effort, what can I do for 8 minutes? Maybe 350 watts, maybe that's ambitious, maybe I'll start at 340 and I'll sit and spin. And I don't know about you guys, but no matter what I've done up the beginning of a climb, when I get 6 minutes in, I never think, oh, I've got more power to give now. So even if I'm below my own maximum ability, I've sort of limited myself by not going hard at the beginning. Maybe that's silly and maybe it's completely mental, but that's really how I find it. And in the Peak District recently, I found that when I was chasing Piglet's wheel and not looking at my power at all, because I'm just thinking, hang on to this guy for as long as you can, I actually found that I was able to put out 390, 400 watts for a good long time, and then still do a good effort up the rest of the climb when I couldn't maintain that. So I thought here, I'd try and hold, I don't know, 370, 390, 410, whatever, that kind of level of power, just as much as felt comfortable. I had no particular rules about in the saddle, out of the saddle. Just for this first 500 metres of tree-lined, steady gradient, that's what I went for. Please do ignore the gradient on the video. I know I've whinged about this already, but the barometer on my Garmin's not working very well. You can see the profile on the climb on my Garmin. I don't really like that I've set it up that way, by the way. I hadn't intended to do that, but that's the way it's ended up, and it's kind of useful in this case. So when you get to seeing this house, I think that's a bit of a marker for me to know that in just maybe 30 seconds or so, the gradient will slacken off ever so slightly. It won't ever go down low, but you might hit single figures for a little while. I think it goes to like 9%. So if I've been punching it out of the saddle, I think this is the moment to sit down. This is the moment to just ease back the power a little bit. Now, again, I'm going to bang on about this, but in the Peak District with my friends, David and Piglet were both absolutely amazing at coming over a steep climb, and then when it gets to false flat, just keeping that power rolling. I am useless at that. You see my power absolutely plummet, and they flew. By the way, you see my power's just dropped to 0 there. That's because I sat down, I changed up a gear, and my left foot just flew out of the pedal. I need to change my cleats, and I'm quite annoyed about that. I only lost a couple of seconds of power, but it's very irritating. So I've sat down and I've invested too much power on this like 9% bit, and I stood out of the saddle just before that cattle grid. Absolute numpty. You may have just heard me swear. That's because I got wheel spin out. You need to sit down going over that cattle grid. It is too steep. There's a good chance it'll be slippy. You need to take it seated. So I only lost 1 pedal stroke of power maybe when my back wheel completely slipped. Obviously I kept going and it was fine. But between my cleat coming out, investing too much power to make up for it, and then slipping on that cattle grid, I reckon I might have cost myself 5-10 seconds. You know, enough to be very annoying, but not enough to say, oh, I could have KOM'd this climb. Nowhere near. But it is irritating. Now, this second half is much more scenic. It's a much nicer bit of the climb, and the gradient's a bit more varied. It gets up to 20% in places, never for very long, but I'd say you're hitting regular bits of 10% and then regular bits of 19, 18, high teens percentages. That makes it a bit harder to pace, I guess. And I think in the Nationals, I suspect, you know, all of the top guys and girls will know this climb inside out, and they'll be well experienced and they'll know exactly how to handle something with these up and down gradients a little bit more. But I think maybe lower down the field, the likes of me, it'll show when people have given too much too early, that you'll fly along these 10% and then you'll hit the 19, 20% and you'll go, Christ, I've got nothing left to give. This bit I really like, and the view behind gets quite pretty, but my camera's quite low down, and you can see a view over the side from on your bike, from a bit higher up of this really severe river valley. It's a really nice bit of road. If you remember my new Horseshoe Pass video, I complained about it being busy and it basically being a time trial. This road could not be less similar. Right, I've not seen a single car in this. It's not like I'm doing this at some obscure time. It's a Saturday at 11, and I've not seen a single car or motorbike, which is lovely. You can see my head bobbing in and out of camera, by the way. I don't know why, when I'm out the saddle on a steep climb, I insist on trying to keep my front end low. Like, I'm doing 8 kilometers an hour. The aero doesn't matter, but I still really do push for it. So yeah, I love this climb, and also if you look at the climb profile, this climb is 3 times shorter than the Horseshoe Pass, and it's 3 times steeper. I just think that's a great fact. It's exactly how maths works, that if you start at the same point at the bottom and you finish at the same point at the top, but you do one in a long wiggly way, it's going to be shallower, and you do one in a straight way, it's going to be steeper. It's nice. Well, that was nerdy. Anyway, back to the climb. I really started to struggle mentally here. You can see my power fluctuating way up and down. That means I'm not at all comfortable. Heart rate, as soon as my heart rate goes 180 and above, that is over the red line. That is over the red line for me. I was really finding this tough. I couldn't get comfortable. In and out the saddle, up and down, probably wasting power. But just, you know, whatever I could do to keep going. And there's a really distinct landmark when you get close to the top, and I was just absolutely willing myself to see it. I was thinking, I've got to see the Ponderosa any minute. I've got to see it any minute. It's got to be there. I kept looking down at this time to go thing and thinking, it can't be 1 minute 24, there's going to be a GPS error, it's going to be faster than that. I was really struggling with everything I had. Now at Nationals, I bet these sides will be lined with people cheering you on, and it won't feel like an eternity to get to that little crest there. But today, it felt like an eternity to get to that little crest there. I really wanted myself to keep pushing the power, and now please ignore the power on the video. You can see the power on my Garmin. They're just slightly out of sync. Garmin Verb doesn't support maps anymore, so I can't overlap them perfectly. It was never very good anyway. And if anyone knows of any other software that'll do it, please do tell me. Now you can see the Ponderosa. It's just a cafe slash B&B at the top here, but it's really distinct landmark. Terrible cafe. You can get a greasy egg bap for $2.50 and a not great coffee. And here you go, I'm done. 7 minutes 58. I wanted to be sub 8 minutes, so I've got to be very happy with that. It's not, you know, not my finest achievement. I think I could knock some time off that still, but I am very happy with it. Not a bad effort at all. And a few notes for me to make for a way to improve myself in future, such as, don't stand up on a cattle grid, idiot. Ponderosa, lovely. So I put nearly a minute into my PR, very happy with that, especially, I know it's excuses, but I messed up the cattle grid, never stand up on a wet cattle grid, cretin, completely lost rear wheel traction, and I messed up something else, but I can't remember what. I'm sure on the video footage it'll be clear, but there was a point where I thought, you've done that wrong, Nick, you've really done that wrong. I think I invested too much on a flatter section, should have used that as a cruise to have more to give on the ups, but hey ho, pretty good time, I'm pretty happy with that. Fully laden, 3 kilos of kit with me, can't complain.